Welcome to the Cultured Table, where food is a passport. Each episode will feature a guest from another country, discuss meals they miss. We'll talk about the stories behind the dishes. No pretense, no scripts, just good food, culture, and connection. So grab a chair, subscribe, dinner's ready. Today, our first guest is going to be from Louisiana. She's from Cajun country, which has a very rich heritage and culture of food. So Trish is our first guest today. She's also the engine behind the idea of the culture table. So before we get into Cajun cooking and what all that means to her, different dishes, what it means, let's talk a little bit about the culture table and where did the idea come from and what's it all about?
Yeah. So this idea was birthed because of my love to connect with people around a table. And what better way than to eat good food, right? And so that was the heartbeat behind it. And I told Emery, I was like, hey, let's do something like the culture table. And I said, how about I be the first guest so we can introduce our culture, Cajun culture, and cook you guys an awesome meal and just sit around the table and chat.
I love that. That's beautiful. And even though obviously Louisiana is not another country, although it does feel like that at times, I'm from there as well. So that's why I can say that. We want people to be seen. I think that was a big part of this show's idea. We want them to be seen. We want people to know about their country, a real vision of someone and where they're from, not necessarily something that the media would portray, but an accurate description of the people in that country, what they're eating. So it's very exciting.
And the foods. I mean, the food culture in other countries is so exciting because we are big foodies and we love to try different meals and foods. So we're like, oh, if we can partner this with connection and food, let's go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trish, tell the good people, what are we cooking today?
Yeah, so we're going to do a chicken and sausage gumbo, of course. We have made a roux, which takes about 2.5 hours. So we've been slaving already doing that. But we're just going to put it together and chat up and get to learn about the Cajun culture.
Now, the roux. Some people may not know what roux is. So describe to people what roux is, what's the ingredients of roux, and what is sort of the idea of what roux is going to do for the gumbo?
A roux really makes the flavor of the gumbo, and you cook it long and slow. Yeah. Very important to get the richness of the flavor you're wanting and the color of the gumbo that you're wanting. So I cook mine around a dark peanut butter.
It does take a while. I know this because my right arm is normally sore from stirring. Normally she has me do the roux, so we made many of those together. So yeah, we're doing a gumbo, chicken and sausage. What type of sausage?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Important for Cajun is the andouille, which is the best sausage.
It is. Andouille is typically made from pork shoulder with many spices, and usually cayenne is very popular in there. It was something that was brought down from French immigration eons ago. Cajun andouille is a little different than the French one, typically because we cut our pork and different ingredients by hand, so it's a little chunkier. That's usually the only main difference. So what exactly is going on at this point?
Yeah, we're just caramelizing everything. As I said, we've already done the roux, which takes 2.5 hours. Cajun food in general is love, and that's what I love about Louisiana is you have everyone over and you're kind of just cooking along the way, hanging out, sitting outside, enjoying the beautiful weather. And that's the beauty of Cajun food. You kind of cook it low and slow all day and people just come and hang out.
It sounds like food is a big part of community, of gatherings, and really bringing people together.
That is correct.
Now tell me something, what is something that is very uniquely South Louisiana?
Oh, what I'm about to put in actually. So I have all the seasonings right here.
Okay.
And very important is the gumbo filet.
Filet is amazing. So typically we use filet for a few things. First of all, filet is ground up like powder from the sassafras tree. And then it also can act as a thickening agent in the gumbo. And it does have a bit of an earthy flavor, so it adds another element or texture to that flavor. So now gumbo is obviously a big deal to people in Louisiana. Are there different types of gumbo?
Yes. Honestly, which people are shocked that I don't like seafood gumbo, which seafood gumbo we always put in crab, shrimp, oysters, some people put crawfish. But for me, I just prefer chicken and sausage gumbo, and I think it has a lot more flavor. But another thing too, most people in Louisiana put okra in their gumbo, which is also a thickening agent.
It is.
But Emery doesn't love okra, so I
Not
just
a fan.
leave it out for him.
So sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. So, give us sort of like a snapshot of what it's like to be from not only South Louisiana, but just a home or a town that is very much enriched in Cajun culture.
Oh, everybody's just very close knit, and your house is always open. They're like, oh, come on over and come sit on the porch and let's have some coffee. It's just a very warm and inviting culture, and everyone loves to come together. And naturally, food brings everyone together.
Yeah.
So you can always know that someone has something cooking on the stove and ready to
That's beautiful.
hang out.
I love that. It sounds like
Yeah.
so it sounds like almost like Southern hospitality maybe was birthed.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, like my parents cooked the best food ever. And they would probably serve that. They did. They would have the gumbo, the potato salad, the rice, the French bread, fried fish, fried shrimp. It'd just be the whole thing because they just love people through food. And that's just a cool way. And that's a culture deep enriched in Louisiana.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, so is gumbo a soup? Is gumbo a stew? Is
That's
gumbo,
actually a good question.
Yeah, what is gumbo?
So soup is normally a little thinner, and a stew is pretty thick where you can cover your rice and it's not going to run out. But a gumbo is a mix between soup and a stew, and it needs to be relatively thick, but not. So no, we do not consider a gumbo a soup.
Now, who has a better gumbo, my mom or you? I can't ask those questions, right? I think you both have amazing gumbo. Now, obviously, it's a hot meal. It's something that's going to warm you up, which is a beautiful thing. But is this, now having said that, I guess, is this something that's typically cooked in the wintertime or something throughout the year?
And that's actually a great question because gumbo is just so warming to your soul, and it really just makes you feel like home.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I can remember growing up when it would just be, Louisiana's not cold.
No.
So the first time you have to maybe put your heater on.
Like what, 60 degrees?
Right. We maybe put your heater on. Everybody's like, it's gumbo weather. Get your gumbo pot and get your gumbo spoon. So yes, it just brings back sweet memories of the season changing.
I love that. That's a big deal in American culture in general is our seasons, or most states have seasons. Yeah. Now, another thing I was going to ask, I thought it was quite interesting, and I know we dealt with this in my home growing up. There are certain days, I know a lot of families in South Louisiana follow this. There are certain days that have certain foods. So like maybe Monday
you're correct.
Might be red beans and rice.
Definitely red beans and rice. Yes, right? With sausage.
So,
yes.
So two questions. Is gumbo on that list?
I didn't grow up like that. Like I know for sure Mondays, it was red beans and sausage. Right. Fridays was white beans and rice with fried fish. So I don't know, not
That's
for me.
That's a big deal. I think that's important. That's why I brought that up. That's something that's very unique to Cajun culture, and it's probably something that even if you Googled it, you might not find that. So I think that's kind of the idea of this show, to bring you things that are authentic. One thing I wanted to bring up: crawfish dip or seafood dip. We'll go off topic a little bit. This is important. Trust me. So. What is typically eaten with crawfish or shrimp, like seafood dip? You
absolutely cannot have a crawfish boil, seafood boil, any kind of boil without your seafood dip. It is absolutely important. And that's like gumbo. It is almost a sin if you do not have potato salad with your gumbo. It smells so good. I wish you had smell-o-vision. But I am so grateful for my upbringing and my parents instilling in me the confidence to cook and to cook from the heart. Like we didn't really go by a lot of recipes, but we just cooked from the heart. And if it tastes, we would taste it and say, oh, it needs a little something else. And so that's what this is I just cook from the heart. And it's very simple seasonings. It's just filet. I love seasonal hot sauce, garlic powder. And I make my own chicken broth. So in the sausage, especially the andouille, creates such a delicious flavor.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And I think, it's a good point that you just hit on. It seems like a lot of Cajun cooking, and I would probably say a lot of food cultures cook with a lot of love. There might not be that much on the recipes, but the love, the passion. It takes time to make the dishes.
Yes.
There's a lot of stirring involved and cutting involved and prep work involved. And you see that throughout.
We call that mise en place.
Mise en place, which translated to English is
You getting all your ingredients prepared.
place,
Yeah,
or
in
or
place.
something.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
So what we're going to do, once you get through the roux, which is 1.5 hours it takes to get your roux, the color I like. It could take longer if you like it more of a dark chocolate color. But we're going to put the lid on. We're going to let it get boiling. And we're going to just talk about some more Cajun cultures.
Before we put the lid on,
Yes.
Camera guy, zoom in on that. What is that you have in your hand?
Okay, so in Louisiana, you have to cook with a wooden paddle, and it's just so important. And this specifically helps you to scrape the bottom when you're cooking the roux.
So it doesn't
it's my
burn.
roux spoon.
So it doesn't burn, right?
You're correct.
So it's very important whenever you're making your roux to have a spoon just like that.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's looking good. I'm hungry, so this is really torturous to do this episode for sure. So go ahead and put the lid on that. So I wanted to ask: is there something we no longer live in Louisiana?
Correct.
But is there something throughout your day or something throughout the year that instantly sort of snaps you back to Louisiana?
Yes, it's flavors. And thankfully, I can cook mostly anything from Louisiana. And like I said, I am such a foodie, and I look for flavor bombs in everything. So for me, if I can have my hands on a good seafood boil, it will instantly snap me back to my childhood in the summertime, mid-July, hot as all get out in Louisiana, and you're sitting down at a table and you have it full of the newspaper, and then your parents are boiling the seafood with all the fixins. And then they come and just kind of throw it on the table, and you have your whole family there and everybody's just enjoying. And that instantly snaps me back. Obviously, it's hard to get the crawfish and shrimp. Well, you can get shrimp, but crawfish. So what we do, we just sometimes do the fixin' boil at the house, and it snaps me back to home. And of course, with the dip.
Yeah, and you've hit on this several times in these stories, going back to, it starts with food, but eventually you always start talking about family or talking about people or a gathering. Even with the crawfish boil, I'm assuming that's a big table, newspapers. If it's a big table, that means it's a lot of people there, right? So it's very important to Cajun culture, you can tell, to sort of involve everybody, invite everybody, and give it a time to get together, which is very, very exciting stuff. All right, so the gumbo is coming together. We're making the potato salad. Potato salad is a great side. A lot of people may not know this, but Cajuns typically pair those two together. Now, Trish, what importance or what is sort of the idea of potato salad pairing so well with gumbo?
Honestly, I don't know. And maybe it's just because that's what we've always done. But could it possibly be that that's what back in the day, that's the only thing they had? Everyone has potatoes. Everyone has eggs. And so they were like, maybe we're just going to make the dish heartier. We're going to add potato salad to it.
I feel like what you're saying is it's a filler. It adds filling.
Yeah.
I think a lot of cultures do this with like a dumpling, adding some bread as well. So we do that quite well with potato salad. It also adds another dynamic to the food.
You're right.
Creaminess, maybe a cooling effect.
You're right.
The gumbo is a little hearty, more warm, and of course, spicy.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because most people think Louisiana culture is spicy, and it's really not. Like, unless you are adding a ton of cayenne or a ton of hot sauce. But Louisiana food in general is just full, packed of flavor. And on our table, we always had just an extra jar or an extra container of hot sauce, and that's if you wanted to heat your bowl up hotter, you would just add your own hot sauce. So
yeah, I think that was pretty cool what she said. It's definitely flavorful. It's not so much a competition, a spice competition. The spices need to work well and be balanced with the flavors. And I love what you said about your family or your dad having hot sauce on the table. I know in my household, when we had growing up, what were some other items they were always eating with your family?
Yeah, of course, your French bread. You always need French bread. It just kind of helps you to soak up the juice, and it soaks up the flavors as well.
So let's go back into culture table and sort of the idea for the show, for this project. What comes to mind to you, being that you were sort of the mastermind behind this, when you hear the word culture table? What does that inspire and bring out in you?
Yeah, I don't know. I love connecting with people and learning about their cultures. And if you know me, you know that I'm going to always be cooking, and I'm always going to ask people, what is something you cook in your culture? So I found myself, it was a pattern. And I said, well, why don't we just have someone invite them into our home and they come and cook their most favorite meal from their country or their culture. And we just share a meal at the table and break bread, and it's a great way to break walls and barriers between people because we all have to eat, right? And so what better way than to cook your favorite meal and just talk about your culture, and you're naturally going to have a great connection.
Yeah, it sounds like, excuse me, it sounds like the culture that you've built and experienced in Louisiana, you're sort of extending that throughout the show.
Yes, because Louisiana, like I said before, is a warm culture in general. Your door is always open. They always make an abundant supply of food. And I think that just was passed on to me. And that's why in our home specifically, the door's always open. We always make extra food, and we always just want people to come over and hang out.
So we're cutting the bread. It's very exciting stuff. And I kind of want to continue on you something that you brought up earlier about Cajun food, Cajun cooking being accessible to all peoples, no matter the financial background, that sort of thing. We kind of discussed or hit on some of the items in the potato salad being sort of a filler, if you will, pretty inexpensive to make. And I think, or if you look at most cultures, like most good food cultures, and you look the behind the scenes of whatever that dish is. I know like a lot of Asian countries has this, Latin American countries as well. Some of their most famous dishes are normally, they've sort of were birthed from very hard times, right? Maybe having like slim pickings or using the less desirable parts of the animal, etc. And I think Cajun culture does a good job with that. Even like trash fish, for example, that's a term that a lot of people use for like if they're fishing, they might throw the fish back. I know we never threw fish back in Louisiana.
And I agree. That's why most people do seafood gumbo, because we have an abundant supply of seafood. You can go, and especially where we grew up in the South, you can go out and get shrimp, crabs, crawfish, oysters, all that. And it's just...
It's an arm's length.
Yes, exactly.
Like garfish. Garfish is a trash fish. Man. It looks like prehistoric. You should Google garfish. It looks insane. But that's something that we would take, and we knew how to make it good. We called it garfish balls, right? So we would take the meat. How do they make that? They take the fish.
The meat, and they grind it up with all the Cajun seasonings, and then they make it into a ball, and then they deep fry it. And it was just so good. But my favorite was the smoked garfish. They would smoke it on a smoker.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Yeah. Even like, what's the shrimp? They call it spiders or something like that, where they take like maybe the head of the shrimp or like the peeling, and what is that one about?
Yeah, and they would just deep fry it. And that's the thing, too, the beauty of Louisiana culture.
Just deep frying it's not the meat even, right?
No, it's just the head. And so we really used everything. I grew up eating from the land, the sea, and the air. And it was always just so good. And that's what I think for me, I can whip up any kind of dish with anything that's in the house. So
I love that. I'm glad we touched on that. So everyone knows that this food is accessible to everybody. Mm-hmm. So kind of continue on more on the culture table idea and what that inspired and what that means to you. What do you hope that people get from the show and see when they watch Culture Table?
That it's all about people and connections. Yes, obviously the food, and you want to know about it, but by breaking bread together and sitting at a table, walls will come down and connections will be made. And you're going to learn something new about somebody, and that they actually were not a stranger maybe, and you'll have something in common. So I think a table brings commonality, and what better way than to pair it with a good dish?
Yeah, I think it kind of, like you said, everyone comes together. You forget about some things, maybe some views that you have, some things that you have going on. Everyone focuses on the food. So the delicious food is sort of the focus. So everything is smelling delicious. Yes. The gumbo is done. This beautiful bread is cut up and buttered. Potato salad is looking fantastic. So it doesn't matter where you're from. When you get to this point, the only next thing to do is to eat. Trish, everything looks so amazing. I do love potato salad. It pairs quite well with gumbo, as we said. Now, for this potato salad, I noticed there are some sprinkles on top, if you will, the red color. What is that exactly?
Smoked paprika and seasonal, and that's just something that my parents always did. And I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's just how we cooked with them.
Yeah, so thank you. This gumbo is great. The spoon is great as well. It's very important. Hard to eat this with a fork, I would say. So let's kind of get into this. Take a bite.
This is so good.
Now, for the chicken that's in here, is there a typical part of the chicken?
I just like to use the thigh because it's juicier. But as you can see, how you're supposed to eat the proper way, the proper bite for a gumbo. You take a little bit of potato salad, you dunk it in the gumbo, and you go in.
Good tip. That could be a pro tip for non-Cajuns, would be to do the potato salad first and then eat a bite of the gumbo. Now let's see what this bread has going on with it. Now the bread, you guys or Cajuns in general are pretty particular about their bread, right? So what type of bread, and why does that bread go good with this type of stuff?
I don't know. We just always have done French bread, which I guess is just easily accessible in Louisiana. And it's just such a good bread that soaks up everything. And always, side note, like I said, if you want it spicier, we always would keep hot sauce on the table, and you can just sprinkle. You just kind of put it on as much as you want. And also, we always had filet on the table if you wanted to have a little more earthier flavor.
Now we were talking about, the bold flavors that you guys like to cook with, and I do have a soda here, and that's what made me think about this. But even the drinks that are popular, right? That are popular in Louisiana are very different. I know when we moved here to Alabama, the soft drinks that they drink was very different than the soft drinks that we drink. And I think a lot of it has to do with the flavor pairing, because we take all of that very serious on what sodas we're going to drink. If it doesn't go with the food, we're not going to drink
You're right. But the main soda that I grew up on was root beer. And we would actually make it from the root beer concentrate. And it was just so good. It's such a nostalgia.
That's a Zatarain's brand, right?
You're correct. Yes.
And it's funny. I was asking you earlier about these moments that come into your mind that remind you of Louisiana, or maybe these snapshots that you just really had a nice food moment. And when we brought up root beer, that's definitely one that played a part for me. I think of the meal of a nice roast beef po' boy, and then a Barks root beer in the glass. That pairing is it's so ideal. I mean, it goes so well, and it's such that flavor of a root beer is so much stronger than a typical soda. And I think that's why it goes.
And this is why too. Well, how beautiful, like you saying all this, because when you get at a table, all of a sudden people want to talk about, well, this is how I did it, or this is how I do it. Have you tried this? And it creates such a good environment, and it's just so warming to the soul because everybody has to eat. So just talking about all the different things and the commonalities that we do have and the drinks that we ate.
Yeah. I
mean, drank whenever we would eat a specific dish.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I think that's good. Also, we didn't really touch on this earlier, but I think it's funny how, I didn't really know what I was going to say when we did this scene. And I was thinking that some of this food would probably inspire me to go down certain roads or paths or bring up certain conversations. I guess I was in the hopes that would happen. But even just tasting this food is bringing up like so many memories and ideas about food and just sort of the food culture of being in Louisiana. And I can tell like this food does you kind of forget what you're going through or what you have going on in your life.
Yep.
And you're sort of just immersing yourself in the flavors. It's kind of like maybe a little break from reality.
I like
and
that.
You can just kind of hang out and eat some good food and just it's almost like medicine,
Yeah.
It's like medicine.
Food is medicine to the soul.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
It really is.
Well, thanks for sharing this delicious meal with me. I think we have some funny little questions because I want to see things that you made. Because we grew up in the same area, but about 45 minutes apart to an hour in the deep south of Louisiana. So I want to ask you just a few different things of like stuff that you might have liked or didn't like.
Yeah, and I have some notes.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure I nail these.
Yeah.
Fun closers. All right. Here we are. Fun closers. We're going to get it. I promise. All right. So, gumbo or jambalaya?
Oh, gumbo all day.
And why is that?
I'm a soup person. Again, this is not a soup, but I just like more liquid dishes.
So really, that's the reason.
Yeah.
All right. Do you like jambalaya?
I do like jambalaya.
Jambalaya is good. Jambalaya is kind of like paella a little bit, right?
Yeah.
A little similar. So Would you rather have a community cookout or a quiet dinner at home?
A quiet dinner at home. I'm just want to hang out and just relax. Although I do like community cookouts because you get to try all kind of food. That's why I love potlucks. But if I had a choice, I would want a night at home.
Yeah, I agree. I like that as well. This is another good one. These questions are making me hungry. So, etouffee or red beans?
Red beans all day. I actually don't like etouffee.
Really?
Unpopular opinion, but I don't.
Now, red beans, if I was not from Louisiana, I would think when we talk about red beans and rice as the dish, because we made it as the dish.
Yeah, it was.
But I think a lot of people think that's a side. I don't think they quite... can you paint quickly a picture of when a Cajun says red beans and rice, what that looks like, how that's prepared quickly?
Yeah, so it's just basically the star of the show is the red beans and the rice, and you, of course, have to have smoked sausage. Some people do andouille, but it's mostly just a smoked sausage, and the sausage gives you the protein. The beans give you the protein. You have the rice that's going to fill you up, and then we always had it with cornbread. So.
Okay, and now tasso. Would you use tasso as something? Is that like a bacon?
Yeah, no,
that wouldn't go in there.
Not.
Okay, good information there. So we're wrapping up with our rapid round here. So Saturday morning. Oh man, this is a good question, and we just came back from New Orleans, so those beignets were incredible. Saturday morning beignets or late night boudin?
Ooh, boudin is one of my favorites. Boudin will bring out all the people, but I am a Saturday morning gal, so I would enjoy the moment. What if we had a beignet stuffed with boudin? That would just
They're making king cakes now stuffed with boudin. Now, when someone not from Louisiana says the word boudin, how do they normally pronounce it?
Boudin. It is not. It's boudin.
Yeah, boudin. You got to. That's just extra information.
Yeah.
Now this meal is delicious. I'm excited to finish this. You did a great job, Trish, as the first guest. You did a great job as the pioneer. Of the lead lady of the culture table.
Oh, I like that.
I'm glad you came up with this idea, and it's something that we can really share to the world. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Culture Table. We'll continue to create these episodes. I think you guys will enjoy them, and we're going to have a lot of different guests on there. So please subscribe. You're going to enjoy it. It's like a passport without getting a passport.
I love
you guys
that.
Take care.
Bye.